chat? Welcome to ManOutOfTopics episode 3, the third installment. This is the actually topical one. This is the first one where all of the news will have come out within the last week, so we're actually like slightly relevant today, which is very abnormal for me. Normally I'm playing games 2 years after launch. I'm talking about news and announcements that happened in June and it's September or October. So today we're actually talking about things that have happened in the past week, which is exciting. It's a good time. It's a good time to be a ManOutOfTopics fan. I don't know how long this one's gonna be. Maybe a little bit shorter. I decided to cut content countdown because it seemed like I was the only person enjoying it. So no memes today. I sprinkled some memes in throughout, but we're not gonna have a big like, and now my top 5 favorite things, because looking back on it, it's kind of stupid. Gaming news. A lot of big announcements last week in the gaming realm that got me very excited and very depressed. The perfect combination of emotions. So 2 big announcements coming out of Mojang and Nintendo. Mojang had their Minecraft Live on Saturday, which I have a lot of feelings about. Very mixed feelings. And then Nintendo had a little Animal Crossing direct, just a little short 5-minute direct. Nothing crazy, but we'll talk about that later. So first, Minecraft Live. Minecraft Live was Saturday the 16th. I believe it was the 16th. They had some announcements. Not all of them were good. Not all of them were interesting in any way. And some of them were outright bad. So first of all, we're going to talk about the next update. So the next update is actually Caves and Cliffs Part 2, which comes out later this year, which I'll get into in a little bit. So Caves and Cliffs Part 2 comes out either November or December of this year, which is like the actual part of Caves and Cliffs that people were looking forward to because it was the part that like changed how caves and cliffs spawn. So like before this update comes out, it's like Caves and Cliffs Part 1. We added like a couple of things. Nobody gives a fuck. We want the caves. That's the whole point of the cave update, is to make caves better. But so Caves and Cliffs Part 2 literally isn't even out yet. And they've announced the next update, which I think is not the best look. Like, the fact that... I'm trying to think. I believe Caves and Cliffs Part 1 came out... It came out in the summer. So there will have been 6 months between these 2 updates that were supposed to be one update. So the fact that they've pushed this back so far, combined with the fact that they're like, we're also working on the next update. It's like, why are you working on the next update? It's like, why have we not just focused on finishing Caves and Cliffs before even worrying about the next update? But anyway, next update is, they're calling it the Wild update. And they're like overhauling / adding a new type of swamp. And they're adding frogs, which frogs lost the mob vote a couple years ago. We'll get into the mob vote later. But so people have been asking for frogs for a little while, and they're like, we'll add frogs. So they're adding frogs and tadpoles into the swamps. I don't really know what purpose they serve other than being cute. I mean, I'm fine with it. I think, cute frog, I'll take it. It's fine. They're adding fireflies, which are literally... I couldn't even find a picture of them. The fireflies are literally 2 flat pixels. It's like 1 black pixel and then 1 like shiny pixel. And I think they like might emit light. So the fireflies, like, I don't think actually do anything. But it's like, it's cool. It's cool. They're putting a chest in a boat. Wow. Revolutionary. It's kind of funny because I feel like the boat chest is actually probably going to break the game, because every time they've added like minecart chests and like donkeys, there's like so many fucking glitches with them. The boats, it's gonna be a mess. It's gonna be a mess, or it's gonna get pushed. And then this guy, this big bumbling boy, is the Warden. He is a new boss that they're adding. He was supposed to be in Caves and Cliffs Part 2. He was supposed to be coming out this year, and they're like, we're pushing him to the next update. And it's like, so you pushed the second half of the caves update and then pushed content out of the caves update. It's like, I don't know what's going on over at Mojang. I don't know if they're in like anti-crunch. They're like, we're treating our employees too well. Take a couple months off. Just push the content around. So I mean, overall, it's like, this, I don't know. They're like, we're adding mud blocks, and it's like, well, what are the properties of a mud block? They're like, it looks different, and it's like, okay. Overall, I'm not super excited for this wild update. It doesn't seem like it's adding like anything. I do think the frogs are cute. The frogs are super cute. They're gonna make cool pets. You can make a little aquarium for them. I'm sure they'll fit in really well with Nick's Mr. Magoo's Zoo Emporium. I think the swamp overhaul will be good overall, because swamps right now are kind of bland. It's like you can hope you find a witch's tower, but that's really all that swamps do, other than slow you down, because it's just like, it's just a fucking 500 block square radius of 1 block deep water that you have to wade through to get anywhere. Buzzer chests are cool. The warden, I was really looking forward to the warden, but he's not gonna be adding caves and cliffs, so I'm a little sad. Anyway, on to the actually important part of Minecraft Live, the mob vote. Let me pull up a video really quick. Something that Minecraft and Mojang like to do at the Minecraft Live is they like to do a mob vote, which basically they put a big poll out to the community and they say, all right, here's 3 options. It's usually 3. So they've done more than 3 sometimes, but here's 3 options. And they release, in the week leading up to it, they release these little videos that kind of explain what the mobs are and what they do. So these were the 3 options for this year's mob vote. He does kind of look like Cookie Monster. I should preface that these aren't like official models. These were all fan made. I just thought that they looked good together. So these aren't like official, what they would have actually looked like. It's kind of just in general, but we'll get to that. So the first option, this little green boy, is called the glare. And the glare, all that the glare did was, if the glare was in an area where mobs would spawn, its emotion would change. So, and they're also, in the next update, they're changing how mob spawns work. So mobs will only spawn in like absolute complete darkness. So previously, like if your light level like wasn't high enough and a corner of your house was not well lit, a monster could spawn. But now it's going to be so incredibly obvious, like when something is pitch black versus like not well lit, that the glare was kind of, from the start, was like nobody wanted the glare. This is kind of useless. Then you have our middle one, the allay. Now the allay is like a little ghost guy that likes music blocks and like dances. And if you drop it an item, it will go out into the world and find similar items. You think, wow, that sounds really powerful. We'll get to that. Our third option is our best boy, the Copper Golem. Copper Golem is a little pet that you can craft that will randomly run around and push copper buttons, which they would also be adding. So not only is the Copper Golem cute, and not only does the Copper Golem allow for like randomization and redstone in a more official capacity than a chicken on a pressure plate, he's just a cute little boy. He's cute, and he gives another purpose to copper, because like copper's been in the game since the first part of Caves and Cliffs, and copper doesn't really have any uses. So like by adding this, it's like, oh, copper's gonna actually have a use. That's great. So the problem, let's watch the animations that they put out. These are the official announcement animations, and you're gonna see why there's a little bit of a problem with how Mojang makes these animations.
You're so cute. Are you lost too? I don't like the darkness either. Yikes, it's too dark in here. You must be the glare, the mob that lets players know when they are in an area that is dark enough for monsters. The glare flies to dark areas for you. When it gets grumpy, you will know that it's dark enough for monsters to spawn.
So, glare, cute concept. Interesting concept, kind of useless. So people were like, the glare's cute, it looks kind of cute, but like, we don't need a way of checking light levels when you can literally just look. And you can also, like on PC, you can literally click a button and it shows you the light level of the current square that you're in. So like, kind of worthless in a lot of ways.
You can also bring it with you and proves once and for all that you can be grumpy and cute at the same time.
Will Tiny Agnes ever find this? Into your vote.
Where are you?
All right, this is the LA. Now, keep in mind, I won't preface this with anything other than what I've said. So let's just listen to how they describe what the LA does.
Hello, fellow music fan. You're my only friend now that Tiny Agnes is gone. Here, take my last cookie. You deserve it. Typical. You must be the LA. Thanks for collecting all these cookies for me. Would you do that with any item I give you? Hooray! No more collecting for me.
Okay. So the quote, "You've collected cookies for me. Will you do that with any item I give you?" The LA responds affirmatively. "Great. No more collecting for me." The problem is that sounds like if you give it an item, it will go out into the world and find that item for you and return with it. So people thought that the LA essentially was capable of duplicating items, but that's not how the LA works at all. The LA can pick up items that have been dropped. So like if there were this, and like this example doesn't make any sense because there is in no world are there just like a bunch of cookies lying around on the floor in the forest that the LA can go get. You know what I mean? So it's like, realistically, if you were playing and you gave an LA a cookie and you were like, go get me more cookies, the LA would fly around and not be able to find any because there's no cookies on the ground that spawn naturally. Maybe in heaven. Yeah, Brett. It does sound like heaven. But like, people saw this and were like, oh, well, I can give it a diamond and it'll go out and give me a bunch of diamonds. It's like, no, that's not how it works. Would have helped you when you died in the lava and then spawned back at your house. Except it wouldn't have, because I would have needed a a chest plate to give it. I would have needed to be like, hey, go find me my other chest plate. And it's like, well, do you have a chest plate to show me what your chest plate looks like? And it's like, no, I just died. All right, we didn't need to reopen that old wound. But it's like, so people are like, oh, the LA can just duplicate items. That sounds pretty great. And it's like, no, the LA can't do that. And they never really clarified that. And then they're like, also like, the LA dances.
Too? Amazing.
Amazing.
If you give an LA an item, it will collect matching ones for you. It also loves music. So if there's a note block nearby, that's where it will drop them.
Tiny Jens?
So stupid. It's like, so I think everyone can probably predict what won.
Tiny Jens, I'm down here. Copper.
Is that a copper golem?
Yes.
Look at that little boy.
It must be old, or at time they freeze into statues.
Let's build our own copper golem. Maybe it can help us.
This is the other thing about copper golems. Over time, they like freeze, so you can like make like dope ass fucking statues. And you can also like polish them and fix them up. And then look at him. He's so cute. He's hitting all the fucking buttons.
We're saved.
The copper golem is the clear winner. The copper golem is so much fucking cooler than the other ones. It's cute. It does random shit. You can turn them into statues. And then if you're like, I need a copper golem, you can like clean them up and fix them. But everyone's like, oh, the LA gives me free items. LA does better stuff. The LA doesn't do that. So everybody voted for the fucking LA. And I was sad. The fucking LA won. The other thing about the vote is that the Twitter poll to vote was up for like 5 minutes. They're like, 5 minutes, go vote. And so it's like, I didn't know this was happening. I wasn't watching. So like, if you weren't watching live, you didn't know that the vote was going on. And it was over before you could have ever reacted to it happening. back to the LA, because I forgot I had this slide. So Minecraft was like, congratulations to the LA. We're putting out some LA victory merch. And this is the merch. A hoodie and a shirt that have a square image of the LA and the Copper Golem and the glare on a podium. And then it just says winner on the top and then Minecraft Live on the bottom. It's like, first of all, insult to injury. Like, give the Copper Golem and the glare literally a day to breathe. They posted this, I'm not kidding, I think 15 minutes after the event was over, after they announced the winner. And then your third shirt is a little square picture of an LA that just says LA under it. Now, I don't know about you, this is the hottest merch drop I've ever seen. I could have designed better merch in 30 minutes. The whole aesthetic of I'm gonna take a screenshot, like I'm gonna put a square image on the center of a t-shirt is just like the most, it's like the most hideous thing I've ever seen. People have been doing it so much recently. I cannot stand it. I genuinely can't stand it. It actually triggers me. It makes me so fucking mad. I don't even know how to respond or what to say. It's like, how are you going to actually, I want to see sales numbers on this merch. I want to see how many fucking units they push, because I can guarantee it's low. Oh, it's just so garbage. Yeah, I just, it's just kind of unbelievable. All right, now, good news. Nintendo put out a 20-minute direct about the new Animal Crossing update that they've been teasing. They're like, we're putting on an update soon. It's gonna have Brewster in it, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, that's incredible. The direct opens. It opens with the Roost, which is Brewster, which is this little boy right there. It's his cafe. He's a barista. He's like a fan favorite character that they're finally adding to the game. Everyone's super hyped. It's a great moment. You're drinking coffee with all your buddies on the island. It's great. And everybody thought that, like, oh, this is going to be like the Brewster update. This is great. We're finally getting Brewster. It's going to be a lot of Brewster stuff. And the Brewster stuff lasted for probably 2 minutes. And I was kind of like, that's kind of weird. Like, why are they spending so little time on this? And then they're like, oh, hey, Captain's coming. And Captain is another fan favorite character who was missing, and he's gonna be there on his little boat, and he's in his little Aloha Island outfit, and he's like, I'm gonna take you around to some other islands where some crazy shit will happen. Like, you can get random events, and the season will change, and the time of day will change, and you can get these crazy vines. And it's like, well, okay, it's kind of an interesting update. And then they come out, they're like, hey, you remember Harv's Island, that island that you went to once when we're like, hey, you can go to Harv's Island. You're like, ooh, what's over there? And it's just a house where you can like take pictures. And it's like, this is kind of weird. They're expanding that, and they're adding another bunch of old fan favorite characters, and they're adding more item customization, and they're adding the ability to like set up like permanent shops for the traveling traders. And it's like, oh, okay, this is like actually kind of a useful quality of life update. Then they're like, oh, we're also adding cooking. And you can grow vegetables, and you can farm, and there's like a ton of different fucking types of meals you can make. It's like, oh, okay, so this is like, okay, they're like going all in. And then they're like, oh, remember gyroids? Remember how those were like a big thing in the old Animal Crossing games, and they were not in this game for some reason? Well, now you can get them, and they interact with music, and they do these little dance in your house, and there's a ton of them, and you can customize them. And it's like, oh, okay, significant update. And then they're like, also, you can get an outside storage unit that connects to your house and your interior storage, so you don't have to run back to your house every time your inventory gets full, or every time you need to get something at your storage. And it's like, oh my god, this is the greatest update of all time. So Animal Crossing, this massive update is coming out November 5th. It was an incredible experience of just like watching this update and being like, wow, they're like actually adding a bunch of stuff that we've been wanting for a while, and they're adding stuff that we didn't even think they were ever gonna add. This is kind of great. This is a good update. I'm a fan of this. I'm fucking with this. And then they were like, this is going to be the last free update that Animal Crossing receives. And I was like, oh, that's a little bittersweet, but you know, the game's given me a lot of content hours, and like I can see myself playing this free update for a lot of hours. So I mean, it's sad that, you know, year and a half lifespan for updates, not great, not what everybody was hoping for, but, you know, there's a lot of stuff. And, like, clearly a lot of stuff from this update was meant to come out last year. Like, the cooking and Brewster were data mined in, like, September of last year. So clearly a lot of stuff got pushed due to COVID, which, you know, that's fair. It's everybody's going through it right now. Well, it's like you release a game and you're like trying to update it at the start of COVID. It's like, yeah, stuff's going to get pushed. So that's fine. You know, that's understandable. And then the direct didn't end. And it was like, what the fuck's going on? Animal Crossing Happy Home Paradise. Paid DLC for Animal Crossing. Completely out of left field. I don't think anybody knew that this was coming or was expecting that this was coming at all. Like, I don't think this got leaked. I don't think it got data mined. This came completely out of left field for me. So, like, 10 minutes of the direct go by. They promised 20 minutes, and they're like, bam, here's another 10 minutes on a DLC that's basically an entirely new game. So, the way this DLC works is you can fly to this archipelago of like a bunch of different islands. And on the main island, there are these people that like run this, it's like a vacation service. And they're like, we need you to design a bunch of homes for us so that villagers from all over the place are happy living there. So they're essentially making, there was a Nintendo 3DS game called Happy Home Designer. And it was a standalone game where all you did was decorate houses, and it's actually where a lot of like the decoration mechanics from New Horizons were pretty much directly pulled from Happy Home Design. Like when you can like go into like the different view and like move your stuff like individual squares, it all came from Happy Home Designer. So they're adding a ton of new items. They're adding new characters, new villagers, new people that you can interact with. This is a monkey named Nico. I love him. If anything were to ever happen to him, I would most likely go on a murder spree. He's just adorable. He's the perfect little boy. I love him so much. And then with this update, they're also adding like partition walls and counters and pillars that you can put inside. And it's like, oh my gosh, they're adding so much stuff. And they're like, it's gonna be $25. I'm like, that's fine. Like, this is literally like enough content for an entirely new game. Like, I'm perfectly okay with that. Now, like, you can like modify the season and you can change the time of day to like meet your client's needs, and you can like make roommates and like pair villagers that have like good personalities together and you get bonus points. And then you can like earn money to buy like a special exclusive stuff that you can bring back to the island. And then they're like, also you can restyle your island villagers' homes after a certain amount of time. And it's like, that is literally what I've been asking for so fucking long. The fact that my starting villagers have these boring ass basic houses that they can't upgrade, I'm like, I can finally give Scoot the mansion mega palace he deserves. I'm so excited. Don't freaking failfish me, Brent. This is great. This is content. We are returning to Animal Crossing stream. It's time. The comeback is now. But so it's $25, which is fair. It's launching on the same day as the free update. So like November 5th, there's gonna be a lot more content. When are they gonna make it a game worth playing? Okay, here's the thing. If obviously Brent's fucking around because he doesn't like the game in the first place. That's fine, whatever. A lot of people are like, all of this stuff should have been in the game in the first place. And it's like, to an extent, you're correct. It's like a lot of the stuff from the free updates should have been in the game at launch. But like things like the summer event and like the Christmas event, if you like bought the game on launch and you time traveled to like the 4th of July, nothing would happen. Or if you time traveled to Christmas, nothing would happen, because they hadn't like added those events yet, because they wanted to encourage people to like play the game the intended way. So it's like, my whole thing is like, I absolutely got my $60 worth out of Animal Crossing. Like, there was enough content for me. There's stuff I still didn't do. I just stopped playing. But it's like, I feel like there's more than enough content in Animal Crossing to warrant the $60. Like, you can play that game for hundreds of hours and still have shit to do. And like the other thing is, it's like, it sounds kind of sappy, but like Animal Crossing absolutely got me through like the first 6 months of the pandemic. Like there's no question. And I feel like a lot of people would agree with me. Like Animal Crossing landed at like the perfect time. Like literally when the game launched, people were like, did Nintendo like make the coronavirus so Animal Crossing would pop off? Because it's like, you know, you can think what you want about Animal Crossing. You know, maybe you don't think it's a great game. Maybe you do. Maybe you think the series is boring, which is perfectly acceptable. You know, like life sim games and like little like cutesy games aren't for everybody. But like there was something about like building like a community and like customizing it and making your own that was just so like, I can't talk to anybody right now. Like I need my little monkey man to talk to every day on my Switch. Just hit at the perfect time, and it was such like an emotional experience to play through for the first time that it's just like, Animal Crossing will always have a special place in my heart. I will always revisit it. I will always defend it to an extent. There's obviously some things that I'm like, that's maybe not great. But overall, awesome. So they're putting out this DLC, $25. It's like, that's great. But now, so this is, okay, we're done with Animal Crossing talk. We're now on to Nintendo criticism. If you remember, ManOutOfTopics, formerly known as Moo Reviews, episode 1. If you watch the first episode, I talked about how Nintendo was making like a expanded, bigger, more expensive version of their online service, and it would give you access to N64 games and Sega Genesis games. And I said the fact that they're charging more for this is really stupid. It's not going to work. And I also said I'm pretty sure that at some point they're going to be adding more stuff to it to make it, you know, more, there's just gonna be more included than just Sega Genesis and N64. Because it's like nobody's gonna pay extra just for that stuff. So after this Nintendo Direct, they announced both the price and what's gonna be included. So Nintendo Online plus expansion pack. A normal online membership is $20 a year, which is a good deal. Honestly, if you're gonna charge me to play fucking online, $20 a year is, in my opinion, it's fine. Like I can deal with that. I remember when I'm pretty sure Xbox Live used to be like $12 a month. And it's like, all right, let's calm down. But so they announced that the expansion pack is going to be $50 a year. So $30 more than a normal membership. And it's going to include N64 games and Sega Genesis games, which we already knew. And it's going to include the Animal Crossing DLC. So basically, here's my theory and my problem. My theory is that the expansion pack is a direct response to Game Pass and to whatever the PlayStation Sony equivalent to Game Pass is. The problem is that your launch is dog shit. The problem is that the launch is not worth what you get. So my theory is that in like 3 years, the expansion pass will be worth it. Because I think as time goes on, they're going to add more stuff to the expansion pack. If they're only adding DLCs, it will never succeed. But if they add, like, if they're like, oh, we're adding, for example, let's say Mario Odyssey, which they would never add because it's their like one of their number one selling games. Like if they added Mario Odyssey, it's like, oh, so I can pay $50 a year and I get online and a bunch of retro games and access to the Animal Crossing DLC and Mario Odyssey. That's a pretty good deal. But the problem is nobody is going to buy this expansion pack for the DLC, because as soon as you stop paying for the expansion pack, you lose access to the DLC. So if you really like the Happy Home Paradise DLC and you don't outright buy it for $25, if you don't continue your expansion pack membership, you're going to lose access to it. They have said that, like I said earlier, the Happy Home Paradise, what happens is you go to the islands and you design stuff, and then you can unlock items to bring back to your island. They said that if you only get the expansion pack, and then you like cancel it after your year is up, you lose access to going to the other islands, but you still keep all of the items that you earned. So that's obviously not like they could have been a lot greedier and been like, oh, your items are magically whisked away, but that would have been super shitty. So it's kind of a good way of doing it. However, nobody on November 5th is going to be like, okay, I don't want to buy the DLC. I just want to rent it for a year. Nobody is getting this expansion pack for Animal Crossing. So anybody who wants the Animal Crossing DLC is going to buy it, which means that the overall value of the expansion pack immediately is decreased by $25 because maybe they add something that you really want. And you go, oh, let me look at the expansion pack. Let me get the expansion pack. It includes something I want. And you go, oh, well, I already have Animal Crossing. I already spent $25 on the Animal Crossing DLC, which means that I'm now paying $50 and losing $25 of value. So, again, I think in a couple years, it will be worth it if the expansion pack had launched with what the lineup will be in a couple years. They absolutely rushed this, and it's not greedy. It is greedy, but it's not just greedy. It's stupid. It's so terrible. I don't know anybody who's buying the expansion pack. Just absurd. Honestly, super stupid on their part. I was going to say I can't believe they're doing it, but I can believe they're doing it. I can believe it. All right. Topic number 2 of the day is DC Fandome, which is much like Minecraft Live and Minecon, another really stupid name. Every year, DC has their day when they have this big live stream and they do all their announcements for all their comics and their games and their movies and their TV shows. It was okay. I thought the Fandom this year was actually pretty good. Let's go over the big hitters. If you didn't know, Robert Pattinson is playing the next Batman. They had a new trailer for the Batman movie. It comes out in March. Trailer looks good. I think it looks really good. The cinematography is on point. I think Robert Battenbat. I think he looks okay. We'll have to see what kind of character he's playing. I mean, he's playing Bruce Wayne, obviously, but we'll have to see how well he pulls it off. I'm a little worried that he's not going to be able to pull it off, but based on the trailers, it looks pretty good. So I'm excited for it. Unfortunately, YouTube, I can't watch trailers and put them on YouTube because even if they're muted, the movie companies will strike your video because it's like worse than like the DMCA stuff. It's like worse than the song stuff because it's like, hey, I'm spreading your trailer. I'm advertising your movie for you. I'm getting more eyes on your trailer than may have originally seen it, which is something. Your trailer is free and your trailer is not directly making you money. And they go, we won't. We're taking ads on your video. It's like, okay. So I would go watch the Batman trailer. I'm worried that there's too much going on. The Penguin is in it. The Riddler is in it. Catwoman is in it. It looks like Poison Ivy is in it. There's rumors that Scarecrow is in it. 5 villains. It's a lot. That's a lot for your first Batman appearance in this new DC universe. So a little concerned, but people who have gotten like preview viewings have said that it's good. So I have a little bit of hope. I have a little bit of hope for this movie. I'm looking forward to it, which is something I've not said about a DC movie in a very, very long time. Next big movie announcement, The Flash, coming out late next year. They put out like a teaser / trailer. They didn't call it a trailer, but it very much seemed like a trailer, which is kind of a weird move in my opinion to not label it a trailer when it was clearly a trailer. But it looks like they are going for more of a Flashpoint-esque story where Barry is time traveling and going to alternate dimensions and stuff. And the crux of this movie is that Barry goes to the Tim Burton Batman universe and is with Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton's Batman is returning for this movie, which is kind of wild. It's interesting to me that DC is resetting its movie continuity already it kind of makes sense because, you know, DC has not been statistically doing that well at the box office and critically. My problem is I don't really... What's the Flash's actor's name is what? It's Ezra Miller, right? I don't really like him. I think he's really annoying. And like it's fair because, you know, in a lot of instances Barry Allen is supposed to be an annoying character, but like I don't want to watch an annoying character. So hopefully they kind of rewrite him a little bit. I think it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what direction they go. I don't know if it's going to be good. But I mean, I'll take any excuse to see Keaton put the cowl on where he can't move his neck at all. It's a good costume. It's a classic. It's a classic costume. I think it'll be fun. It'll be fun. So the rest of the DC stuff that is of any interest to me, they put out a Suicide Squad story trailer, which looks exactly like I expected the story for Suicide Squad to look. It's these 4 bumbling idiots trying to kill members of the Justice League that are being mind controlled by Brainiac. There was like a little bit of like classic Suicide Squad humor. I didn't think it was like funny, like their one joke and then they like pushed the joke too far and it was like, it's like I get it, and it's like I get that that's like the Suicide Squad style, but I'm like I don't give a fuck. Like I don't care that they keep tasing the Penguin. It's not really that funny. But I mean, trailer looked okay. It looked alright. I'm not super against it. The other game trailer that came out was they put out what the fuck is this game called? Gotham Knights story trailer, which nobody was reporting on. I literally didn't know this was released until last night. Basically, all it did was confirm that the Court of Owls is like the main villain group, which I'm pretty sure we already knew. I might be wrong, but I'm like 90% certain we already knew that Court of Owls was going to be the villains. Other than that, there was nothing else. It was just like, hey, the Court of Owls is here, and there was a bunch of Court of Owls stuff, and it's like, okay, great. Don't know anything more about the game. Don't know anything more about the gameplay loop. Gotham Knights is still very much on my list of games that I'm waiting until they launch to figure out if I'm going to play. As well as Suicide Squad. Peacemaker. The big John Cena character from the most recent Suicide Squad, which I still need to fucking see. I keep forgetting to watch it. Peacemaker is getting his own TV show, which is interesting. A lot of people liked his character in the movie, and I watched a trailer for the TV show, and I was like, this doesn't look that good. And it's like being directed by James Gunn. And it's like, this doesn't look very funny, and the action looks good. The action does look good, but like it doesn't really look great. It's coming out on HBO Max. I'm not gonna watch it. I just thought it was interesting. It's something interesting to point out. It's coming out in like January too. It's kind of wild that Suicide Squad came out last month or late August, and they had the hindsight to like produce a TV show around this one character. It's kind of wild. And then finally, Black Adam. Black Adam is The Rock's foray into superhero movies. He's playing Black Adam, and that's been rumored for a real long time, and it was confirmed a long time ago, and they're like, we're working on it. And then they released a little bit of like behind the scenes stuff of the actors talking, and they released some footage from the movie. We're going to watch the footage on stream. Hey, if you're watching on YouTube and you want to watch this footage, you should watch me live on Twitch because I have to cut it out for copyright reasons. But we're going to watch this. I think this looks fucking dope. My big concern about Black Adam right now is that he is going, for the majority of the movie, he's not going to be wearing the hood. And I feel like it's very difficult to take The Rock seriously. And he's playing this like really serious, like ancient god. And I feel like if he's not wearing the hood looks really cool, but he's going to take the hood off and it's going to be like, oh, it's The Rock. It's #1 paid actor in Hollywood, The Rock. So hopefully he wears the hood for most of the time. But I mean, I think the test footage looks good so far. The effects look good. Looks like they're going to go for like a darker tone, which DC is kind of a mixed mixed bag on what works and what doesn't. Sometimes their dark stuff works, sometimes it doesn't. So hopefully they don't go, as long as they, I feel like the problem with DC is that they want their movies to be dark and they want them to be serious, but they also want to compete with Marvel, which is very much, comedy driven, very quippy. So they're like, well, we need to have quips in our movies. So they add quips to these dark stories and it doesn't work. It clashes. So when they focus on dark stuff, like The Dark Knight, works really well because it's just a good, serious movie. I'm assuming that The Batman is also going to be like that. And I think if Black Adam is like that as well, it's going to do well. But their other stuff, they just try to toe the line too much, and it ends up not working very well. But that is going to do it for Man Out of Topics, episode 3. Thank you very much Thank you everybody very much for watching. I appreciate it. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and like the video. And if you want to watch the whole thing unedited, come watch on Twitch at Man Out of Water. I do this every Tuesday at around 10 a.m. Eastern. So come swing by, say hello. Is this a shark pun slide? I didn't want to say anything. I was a little worried that nobody would catch on, but it seems that you've passed the test, friend. You've passed. The shark pun has been identified. Your brain is massive.